300 Unusual Facts About the Deep Ocean. Dive into the world of eternal darkness. Welcome, friends. An unusual journey awaits us tonight. We will go where no one has gone before, to a place that remains a mystery even to modern science, to the world of the deep ocean. Make yourself comfortable. Take a slow breath. Feel the tension gradually leaving your body. Let your thoughts flow calmly and freely. You don't need to rush anywhere. Today we will simply listen and journey together. Imagine an endless ocean at night. The surface of the water is almost motionless. Millions of stars shine above it. A light breeze touches the waves, and somewhere far away you can hear the subtle sound of the surf. But now we are not interested in the surface. We begin to slowly sink down. A huge world opens up below us, the size of which is difficult to imagine. The ocean covers more than 70% of the surface of our planet. When viewed from space, Earth looks more like an ocean planet than land. Scientists believe that humanity has explored only a small part of the ocean depths. Many areas of the seabed still remain unknown. We continue our dive. The sunlight is getting weaker. Already at a depth of about 200 meters, a zone called twilight begins. Light still penetrates here, but there is so little of it that the familiar world begins to disappear. Most people never think about the fact that approximately 90% of the living space on our planet is located in the ocean. The deepest known point on Earth is not on land at all, but underwater. Gradually, the surroundings become darker. The blue tints disappear. The red colors are the first to disappear, then orange, then yellow. The red color practically disappears at a depth of several tens of meters. Therefore, many deep-sea creatures are red in color. In the dark, it makes them almost invisible. The temperature in the deep ocean usually hovers around 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, regardless of the time of year. In some places, deep water can travel through the ocean for hundreds or even thousands of years before it reaches the surface again. The most powerful ocean currents occur not on the surface, but in the water column. If all the ice on the planet suddenly melted, sea levels would rise so much that many modern cities would be underwater. We continue to sink lower and lower. The light gradually disappears completely. And then absolute darkness sets in. Not night, not twilight, complete darkness. At a depth of about 1,000 meters, sunlight no longer exists. In this darkness, many animals have learned to create their own lighting. In the distance, a small blue spark suddenly flashes, then another one, and one more thing, like an underwater starry sky. The ability of living things to produce light is called bioluminescence. More than 70% of deep-sea organisms are capable of glowing. Some fish use luminous organs as bait for prey. Other creatures create flashes of light to scare away predators. Some squids can produce a glowing cloud instead of an ink cloud. Bioluminescence is considered one of the most common forms of communication in the deep ocean. There are organisms that can change the color of their glow. Some types of jellyfish create such bright flashes that they can be seen from a great distance even in complete darkness. We continue to move down. Now there are already kilometers of water above us. It seems incredible that life can exist at all in such conditions. But this is where the most amazing thing begins. The pressure at a depth of 1 kilometer is approximately 100 times greater than atmospheric pressure at the surface. At a depth of 10 kilometers, the pressure is so great that it can crush most conventional underwater vehicles. Some bacteria thrive in conditions that would instantly wipe out most known forms of life. Many deep-sea creatures never rise to the surface at all. 25th fact. Some species of fish spend their entire lives in complete darkness. Some deep-sea animals have eyes enlarged to incredible sizes. Other species, on the contrary, have almost completely lost their vision. Some creatures are able to sense the slightest vibrations in water over vast distances. For many inhabitants of the depths, sound is much more important than light. Sound waves can travel thousands of kilometers in the ocean. Now, there is complete silence around us. But in reality, the ocean is never completely quiet. Somewhere far away, whales call to each other. There are undercurrents moving somewhere. Somewhere there are hydrothermal springs. Blue whales are able to hear each other at a distance of hundreds of kilometers. Some ocean sounds travel across entire oceans. Water conducts sound approximately 4 times faster than air. Many deep-sea creatures use vibrations to find food. Some fish are able to sense the electrical fields of other animals. Sharks can detect the faintest electrical signals from living things. Some species of deep-sea sharks live for several hundred years. The age of individuals can exceed the age of many states. The deeper the organism is, the slower its life often proceeds. In cold depths, many animals grow and age much more slowly. We continue to slowly glide through the endless darkness, and gradually we begin to understand an amazing thing. The ocean is not empty at all. On the contrary, this is a huge universe inhabited by countless creatures, most of which have not even received their own name yet. Every year, scientists discover dozens of new deep-sea species. Many of them look so unusual that they resemble creatures from another planet. Some animals have a transparent body. Internal organs can be seen through individual deep-sea fish. Some jellyfish are composed almost entirely of water. There are fish with transparent heads. Some deep-sea shrimp have no pigmentation at all. In the depths of the ocean, there are organisms that live near boiling springs. Such sources can emit water with a temperature of more than 300 degrees. And finally, the 50th fact. Even today, in the age of satellites, supercomputers, and space telescopes, we know less about the deep ocean than we would like to admit. And perhaps the most amazing discoveries are still ahead of us. In the meantime, our journey is just beginning. The most unusual inhabitants of the abyss. As we continue our journey, we descend even deeper. There is still darkness all around. Only occasionally it is disturbed by rare flashes of living light. It seems as if we are slowly drifting among the stars, although in fact we are under kilometers of water. This is where creatures live that many would consider heroes of science fiction films. But for the ocean, they are completely common. The anglerfish has become one of the most famous deep-sea creatures thanks to the glowing appendage above its head. This glowing organ acts as a bait for prey. Some species of anglerfish are capable of opening their mouths so wide that they can swallow prey almost their own size. Many deep-sea fish have teeth so long that they do not fit inside their closed mouth. The viperfish has some of the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish on Earth. Despite their terrifying appearance, most deep-sea predators are relatively small. Huge sizes are less common in the ocean than is commonly thought. Some deep-sea creatures have bodies so soft that they literally lose their shape on the surface. Due to high pressure, their body is designed exclusively for life in the depths. 60th fact. Many animals in the abyss have never seen sunlight. We continue to move forward smoothly. An almost transparent creature appears in the darkness. It floats slowly, like a ghost. Glass squids have an almost completely transparent body. Through their tissues, you can see the internal organs. This transparency helps to hide from predators. Some types of jellyfish are so transparent that they become almost invisible. There are many organisms in the ocean that use invisibility as their main defense. Some shrimp can reflect ambient light so that they completely blend into the background. Many deep-sea creatures are silver in color for the same reason. In conditions where there is almost no light, even a small advantage can save lives. Some fish have tubular eyes that point only upward. This helps them spot prey swimming above them. Gradually, another amazing creature appears before us. It looks like a transparent balloon with long, luminous threads. Ctenophores are among the oldest animals on our planet. They are able to create rainbow shimmers of light. Some ctenophores glow brighter than most jellyfish. Their movement is so smooth that it resembles slow flight. Many of them are predators, despite their harmless appearance. Some deep-sea jellyfish can reach several meters in diameter. Their tentacles can stretch for tens of meters. Many animals avoid meeting them. Even in the depths of the ocean, jellyfish remain one of the most successful hunters. Jellyfish have existed on Earth for hundreds of millions of years. Time seems to flow differently in the deep ocean. There are no sunrises here, no sunsets. There is no usual change of day and night, just endless darkness. Some deep-sea fish can live for decades without changing their lifestyle. Many species feed only a few times a month. Sometimes you have to wait weeks for prey. Therefore, deep-sea predators rarely miss an opportunity to eat. Some fish are able to stretch their stomach many times. After a successful hunt, food can last for a very long time. Many creatures of the deep expend minimal energy. Slow movements help save energy. Some species drift almost motionless in the water column. This strategy allows you to survive where food is extremely scarce. An unusual fish appears in the distance. Her head appears disproportionately large. The blobfish has long been considered the ugliest animal in the world. However, at its native depth it looks quite normal. An unusual shape appears after rising to the surface. The cause is sudden changes in pressure. Many deep-sea animals look completely different on the surface than in their natural environment. Some species cannot be raised alive at all. Their body is designed exclusively for conditions of enormous pressure. Scientists have to use special equipment to study such creatures. Every year, researchers find new species of fish, squid, and invertebrates. Scientists estimate that most of the inhabitants of the deep ocean are still unknown to science. Perhaps right now, somewhere in the dark depths, amazing creatures are swimming that no one has ever seen before. And as we slowly continue our journey through the endless ocean night, new secrets await us. Very soon, we will reach seamounts, volcanoes, and huge canyons hidden under the water, the strangest creatures that the abyss has created. Our journey continues. We descend again into the dark depths of the ocean, where sunlight is never a guest, where nature has been creating creatures according to its own rules for millions of years. Sometimes it seems that the ocean is not at all limited by the usual laws of appearance. If on land most of the animals look familiar and understandable, then the depths seem to have become a workshop for the most unusual experiments of nature. And the deeper we dive, the more amazing her creations become. A small creature with a transparent head appears ahead. At first glance, it seems like an optical illusion. But such fish really exist. Their head is so transparent that the internal structures of the eyes can be seen through it. For living in the dark, such a device turned out to be very useful. The eyes are able to look up and notice the slightest silhouettes of prey against the background of weak light coming from above. In the world of the deep, even a small advantage can decide the issue of survival. We keep moving. A creature resembling a living ribbon appears from the darkness. It's long, almost weightless. His body shimmers with silvery shades. This is a fish belt, one of the longest bony animals on the planet. Sometimes individual specimens reach the size of a small boat. They spend most of their lives at depth, so people meet them extremely rarely. It was these creatures that often became the source of legends about sea monsters. It is easy to imagine the impression such a creature made on sailors of past centuries. We are moving on. A small fish with a disproportionately large mouth appears in front of us. It seems as if her mouth takes up half of her body. In fact, this is a completely reasonable decision. In the deep ocean, food appears infrequently. Therefore, if prey is still encountered, it is better to be able to swallow it whole. Some deep-sea fish are capable of swallowing prey that is larger than themselves. Their stomach can stretch many times. This ability looks unusual, but for the world of the depths, it has become an effective way of survival. We continue on our way. The darkness around becomes almost absolute, and suddenly a strange bluish glow flashes ahead. Before us is a siphonophore, one of the most amazing creatures of the ocean. Interestingly, this is not just one animal. This is a whole colony of organisms. Each element performs its own task. Some are responsible for nutrition, others are for the movement, still others are for reproduction. Together they form a single living being, or perhaps it would be more correct to say, a live group. Such forms of life remind us that nature does not always fit into familiar categories. Sometimes the boundaries between an individual organism and a community become blurred. We keep moving. A transparent creature that looks like a piece of glass floats nearby. Light passes through his body almost without obstacles. Such animals use transparency as a method of camouflage. In the deep ocean, this is one of the best defenses. If you can't be seen, you're much harder to catch. Some deep-sea squid are so transparent that they become almost invisible, even when viewed closely. It seems amazing how varied the ways to escape danger can be. But the ocean continually proves that nature can find a solution to almost any problem. We are moving on. At the bottom lies a creature that resembles a living carpet. It hardly moves, seems part of the landscape. This is a sea cucumber. Despite the funny name, these animals play an important role in ocean life. They constantly recycle bottom sediments. We can say that they perform the work of a kind of cleaners of the deep. Without them, the ecosystem would look completely different. Sometimes the ocean's most important inhabitants are not the most visible. We continue our journey. A slowly moving silhouette appears in the distance. His body resembles a balloon. He seems to be floating in weightlessness. This is one of the many species of deep-sea jellyfish. Some of them look so unusual that researchers compare them to alien creatures. Sometimes new photographs of the depths surprise even experienced biologists. Life forms hidden under the water can be so unusual. What is especially interesting is that many deep-sea animals have only recently been discovered. Some species were first seen only in recent decades. This means that there could be creatures in the ocean right now that science doesn't yet know anything about. Think about it. There are still large living organisms on our own planet that have never come to human sight. In a world of satellites and computers, this sounds almost unbelievable. But that's just how the ocean works. He still has the ability to surprise. We continue on our way, and gradually we begin to notice one interesting pattern. Many inhabitants of the depths look strange only from our point of view. They are ideally suited for their world. Every feature matters. Each unusual body shape performs a specific task. Every strange organ helps to survive. If you look at these creatures through the eyes of nature, it becomes clear that they are not strange at all. They are simply perfect for living in conditions that seem extreme to humans. Perhaps this is why the deep ocean is so fascinating. It shows how diverse life can be. How far can evolution go? How amazing the solutions found by nature over millions of years can be. We continue to slide slowly through the darkness. Rare lights of bioluminescence flash around again. Somewhere in the distance, invisible currents are moving, and creatures continue to live nearby, whose appearance will inspire writers, artists, and researchers for a long time to come. And the more we learn about them, the clearer one simple idea becomes. The most unusual creatures do not necessarily live in distant galaxies. Many of them are right here, on Earth, in the depths of the ocean, in a world that still remains one of the greatest mysteries of our planet. And another chapter awaits us. We'll talk about ocean records, about the fastest, largest, most ancient, and most amazing inhabitants of the underwater world, about the records that nature has set for millions of years in a row. Ocean record holders, the largest, fastest, and most ancient. Our journey continues. We have already seen many amazing creatures. Some of them seem to be aliens from another world. Others resembled the ancient inhabitants of the planet who survived entire eras. But now, a special chapter awaits us. Chapter about records. About those ocean inhabitants who have become true champions of nature. About creatures whose size, speed, or age can surprise even experienced researchers. The ocean loves extremes. If there is a record somewhere on Earth, there is a good chance that it is located here. Let's start with the largest animal that ever lived on our planet, blue whale. Even after centuries of study, it continues to amaze the imagination. Its dimensions are so large that it is difficult for a person to imagine them without comparisons. Some individuals reach a length of more than 30 meters. It's like 3 big buses parked one behind the other. But even more impressive is the mass. A large blue whale can weigh more than 150 tons. This is heavier than many planes, heavier than most animals that have ever existed on Earth. Yet this huge creature feeds mainly on tiny crustaceans. It seems surprising that such a gigantic animal depends on such small prey. But this is precisely one of the features of the ocean. Here, even the smallest organisms can play a huge role. We continue on our way. Somewhere in the water column, a silvery shadow rushes rapidly. Some fish are capable of impressive speeds. The sailfish is considered one of the fastest inhabitants of the ocean. During a dash, he is able to move so fast that he leaves behind many sea predators. Its long dorsal fin resembles the sail of an ancient ship. When such a hunter appears among a school of fish, the movement of the water literally comes to life. Everything happens in a matter of seconds. The ocean can be not only calm, sometimes he becomes incredibly fast. We are moving on. A massive figure appears in the depths. She seems slow, but its size is impressive. In front of us is a whale shark, the largest fish on the planet. Despite its impressive appearance, it does not at all correspond to the image of a formidable predator. The whale shark feeds mainly on plankton and small organisms. Her huge mouth serves as a kind of filter. She moves calmly through the ocean, collecting food from the water. Meeting such a creature makes a strong impression, but for the ocean itself, it is an ordinary resident. Another giant among marine life. We continue our journey. At times, the ocean resembles a museum of antiquity. Some of its inhabitants have existed so long that they can tell the story of several human eras. Among them, Greenland sharks occupy a special place. These animals live in cold northern waters. They are considered one of the longest living vertebrate creatures on Earth. The age of some individuals can exceed several hundred years. When such a shark was born, people were still walking around the world, about whom history textbooks tell today. Centuries passed, states changed, generations have changed, and she continued to move slowly in the depths of the ocean. Stories like this help us feel the real scale of time, not only geological, but also biological. We continue on our way. A creature of unusual shape appears in the darkness. It resembles a long, transparent thread. In fact, this is one of the siphonophores. Some siphonophore colonies reach lengths of tens of meters. Some specimens can be longer than the blue whale. This makes them one of the longest living organisms on the planet. It is especially surprising that we are not talking about one animal, but about a whole colony of creatures working as a single organism. The ocean again shows how unusual nature's records can be. We continue to move forward slowly. Corals appear ahead. At first glance, they appear motionless. But many coral colonies live incredibly long lives. Some of them have existed for hundreds and even thousands of years. When such colonies first began to grow, many modern cities had not yet been founded. Every year, a new layer was added. Gradually, a huge structure was formed. Quiet, slowly, almost unnoticed. The ocean often sets records this way. No rush, no noise, through patience and time. We continue on our way, and let's remember another record. The largest concentration of living beings on Earth is located in the ocean. We are talking about giant schools of fish and accumulations of krill. Their numbers can reach billions of individuals. From the outside, such masses of life resemble moving clouds. They become the basis of food chains for many other animals. The ocean shows a surprising pattern. Sometimes the most important records have nothing to do with the size of individual creatures, and with quantity, with interaction, with the work of huge ecosystems. We keep moving. Somewhere far away in the darkness, a low, drawn-out sound is heard. Perhaps it's a whale. His song travels through the water, for many kilometers, for many hours. Some ocean sounds can travel incredible distances, and this is also a kind of natural record. The world underwater works differently. Here, sound becomes the main way of communication, the main way to find each other. The main way of communication. We continue our journey, and gradually we begin to notice one interesting feature. Most ocean records are not just about size or age. They are related to survival. With a device. With life's amazing ability to find solutions where, it would seem, they do not exist. The largest animals, the most ancient fish, the longest organisms, the most unusual forms of life, they all came about through the same process. Millions of years of gradual changes. Millions of years of searching for the ideal way to exist. The ocean has become a huge laboratory of evolution, and the results of this work surround us everywhere. We slowly continue moving. The water remains calm. Darkness softly covers the space around. And it becomes clear that even after all these amazing stories, the ocean still holds countless records that people do not yet know about. Perhaps somewhere in the depths, there exists an even more ancient creature, an even more unusual organism, an even more amazing phenomenon. And one day future researchers will definitely find it. In the meantime, the ocean continues to keep its secrets, just as calmly and patiently as he had done it for millions of years in a row. Seamounts, volcanoes, and hidden worlds of the ocean floor. We continue our slow journey. The darkness around has become so familiar that it no longer seems frightening. It rather resembles the calm silence of the night, in which all unnecessary thoughts disappear. Gradually, the bottom begins to emerge below us. At first, these are just vague outlines. Then the slopes appear, hills, combs, and it soon becomes clear that the ocean floor is not a flat surface at all. On the contrary, it resembles a huge unknown planet with its mountains, valleys, gorges, and plains. If all the ocean water suddenly disappeared, we would be greeted with one of the most spectacular landscapes in the entire solar system. Underwater mountain ranges would stretch for tens of thousands of kilometers. Deep depressions would be much larger than the famous Grand Canyon, and individual underwater volcanoes would rise higher than many famous land mountains. The longest mountain system on our planet is not the Himalayan range. It is hidden underwater. The mid-ocean ridge covers almost the entire Earth and stretches for more than 60,000 kilometers. This is such a huge structure that it is several times longer than the Andes, Alps, and Himalayas combined. Most of this enormous ridge remains hidden under the ocean. Right now, as you listen to this story, the slow movement of the Earth's crust continues in the depths. Continents drift unnoticed. The plates collide. They disperse. It is thanks to these processes that a new ocean floor is born. Every year, our planet becomes a little different. The changes are so slow that a person does not notice them. But if time could be sped up millions of times, the Earth would look like a living organism, constantly changing its shape. A giant underwater mountain appears in front of us. Its peak is hidden somewhere high above us in the darkness. Such formations are called guyots. Once upon a time, many of them were real islands. The waves roared on their shores. Perhaps birds were flying above them. But gradually, the volcanic base sank, and the ocean absorbed the land. Today, these ancient islands rest at great depths. Their tops became flat due to centuries of exposure to waves, even at the time when they were on the surface. Some of them went underwater tens of millions of years ago. It turns out that the depths of the ocean contain traces of disappeared worlds. We are moving on. A huge gorge appears through the darkness. It seems endless. Submarine canyons are found all over the world. Many of them are larger than the famous land canyons. Some reach depths of several kilometers. From time to time, real underwater avalanches pass along their slopes. Only instead of snow and rocks, they are made of sand, silt, and sedimentary rocks. These streams are capable of moving at the speed of a car. They change the topography of the ocean floor and create new landscapes. Now, an even more amazing sight appears before us. Clouds of dark smoke can be seen in the distance. But there is no fire here. These are hydrothermal vents, some of the most unusual places on Earth. Water bursts out of cracks in the Earth's crust, heated by the planet's internal heat. Temperatures can reach several hundred degrees. However, due to the enormous pressure, the water does not boil. Entire mineral towers grow around the springs. Some resemble ancient castles. Others look like the smoking chimneys of fantasy factories. When researchers first discovered such places, they were amazed. It was believed that life is impossible without sunlight, but life was literally in full swing around the springs. Shrimp lived here, crabs, shellfish, worms, and many other creatures. They received energy not from the sun, but through chemical processes. This discovery changed scientists' ideas about where life could exist. Perhaps similar ecosystems exist on other worlds. For example, under the icy surface of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. We slowly swim past giant tube worms. Some reach the height of a man. They don't have a mouth, no stomach. There is no usual digestive system. They live thanks to bacteria that help obtain energy from chemicals. Once again, nature shows how amazing its solutions can be. Deeper at the bottom, fields appear covered with peculiar stones. But these are no ordinary stones. These are manganese nodules. They grow incredibly slowly. Over 1 million years, such a stone can increase by only a few millimeters. Some nodules began to form even before the appearance of the first people. Perhaps individual specimens are older than many known civilizations. We continue on our way. Far ahead, a huge shadow begins to rise. At first, it looks like a mountain, but gradually it becomes clear that this is a volcano, one of thousands of underwater volcanoes on Earth. Most of the planet's volcanic activity occurs underwater. Every day, small eruptions occur somewhere on the ocean floor. We simply don't notice them from the surface. Some undersea volcanoes are so large that they could rival the highest peaks on land. When measured from base to summit, individual volcanic massifs are taller than Everest. Sometimes eruptions create new islands. They appear in the middle of the ocean as if out of nowhere. And sometimes they disappear just as quickly, being destroyed by waves. The ocean constantly creates and destroys its own worlds. In some places, there are real lakes at the bottom. This sounds incredible. Lakes inside the ocean. But they do exist. Due to the high concentration of salt, the water in them becomes denser than the surrounding water. The boundaries of such lakes look almost the same as the shores of ordinary reservoirs. Waves pass across their surface. Currents appear. And some sea creatures avoid these places in the same way that animals on land avoid dangerous swamps. Researchers sometimes call them underwater lakes of death. However, even there you can find specialized life forms. Life finds a way to adjust again. The more we learn about the depths of the ocean, the clearer one amazing idea becomes. Nature is far more inventive than any human imagination. Seamounts, disappeared islands, giant canyons, boiling springs, lakes inside the ocean. And all of this exists right now on our own planet. We continue to slowly glide over the ancient bottom. Everything around becomes quiet again. Darkness, gently envelops the space. And ahead of us lies perhaps the most mysterious place in the world's oceans. Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. A place where pressure reaches almost incredible levels, and secrets are still hidden in the eternal ocean night. Mariana Trench and the deepest places on Earth. Our journey continues. We leave behind seamounts and volcanoes and head to where the ocean reaches its extreme depths. It's getting even darker around, even quieter. It seems as if the water itself is becoming denser and more motionless. Somewhere ahead lies what many call the last great uncharted territory of our planet, Mariana Trench, the deepest known region of the world's oceans. If you imagine a huge map of the Earth, the depression looks like just a thin line among the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean. But its size is truly impressive. It stretches for more than 2,500 kilometers. This distance is comparable to traveling through several large countries. However, what is most striking is not its length and the depth. The lowest point of the depression is called the Challenger Deep. It is located so deep that if Everest were placed there, its top would still remain underwater. Imagine the highest mountain on Earth. Now imagine that there is still more than a kilometer of ocean above its top. Such a scale is difficult to comprehend. We continue our mental immersion. With every kilometer, the pressure becomes stronger. At such depths, every square centimeter is affected by a weight that cannot be felt in ordinary life. If you compare the pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench with the pressure on the surface, the difference will be enormous. An ordinary submarine here would be instantly destroyed. Even many modern research devices are not able to withstand such conditions. Therefore, dives to such depths remain rare events. Throughout the history of mankind, there have been very few people who have reached the bottom of the Challenger Deep. You can literally count them on your fingers. This is amazing. Billions of people live on Earth. Hundreds of millions traveled the world. Thousands climbed to the highest peaks. But only a few have visited the deepest point of our planet. The first explorers who reached the bottom of the depression reported an unusual sensation. There was absolute darkness all around. There were no landmarks, no stars, no horizon, only a small circle of light from the device's spotlights, and the endless unknown beyond. In such conditions, it is easy to feel the scale of the ocean, the scale of the Earth itself, and at the same time, one's own tininess in the face of nature. But even here there is life. When scientists first suggested this, many doubted it. It seemed impossible that living organisms could withstand such extreme conditions. However, the depths again surprised humanity. Bacteria were found at the bottom of the depression, microscopic organisms, some types of crustaceans, strange sea cucumbers, worms, and many other creatures. They don't just survive, they feel quite natural here. For them, this is an ordinary house. Perhaps it is discoveries like these that best demonstrate the amazing ability of life to adapt to almost any environment. The deeper scientists explore the ocean, the more often they encounter creatures that no one expected to meet. Some deep-sea amphipods, which resemble tiny shrimp, have been found at depths of over 10 kilometers. They live quietly in places where a person would need the most complex technologies for simple observation. Another thing is interesting. There is almost no usual movement at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. There are no strong currents, no storms, no waves. This is one of the most peaceful corners of the planet. The upper layers of the ocean are constantly in motion. But here, at the very bottom, time seems to slow down. Precipitation slowly falls from above. Organic particles travel downhill for many days and even weeks. Gradually, they reach the ocean floor and become a source of food for local inhabitants. Some researchers compare this process to snowfall. Only instead of snowflakes, tiny particles of organic material fall from above. This phenomenon even received a name: sea snow. Every day, this invisible snow slowly falls through kilometers of water. It feeds countless creatures living far from sunlight. Without him, life in the depths would be much more difficult. But even the Mariana Trench is not the only amazing place. There are other deep-sea trenches on Earth. Tonga, Kermadec, Philippine Trench. Each of them represents a separate world, a separate ecosystem, a separate riddle. Some of these places have only been partially explored, and some have been studied so little that scientists still cannot accurately describe all their inhabitants. Sometimes, new expeditions discover organisms that look completely unusual. Sometimes finds are so amazing that it takes several years to fully study them. That is why the ocean remains one of the most promising areas of scientific research. Every dive can bring discovery. Each expedition can change ideas about life on our planet. But there is another feature of the deepest places of the ocean. Despite the enormous distance from civilization, traces of man have even reached here. During some studies, plastic particles were found at the bottom. It was a reminder of how closely all corners of the Earth are connected. Even the most remote areas of the ocean are not completely isolated from what is happening on the surface. And yet, the depths continue to keep their secrets. We know only a small part of what is hidden in these bottomless spaces. Perhaps right now, somewhere in the dark, there are creatures that no one has ever seen before. Perhaps there are geological processes hidden at the bottom that we don't even know about yet. Or maybe the most amazing discoveries are still waiting in the wings. We continue our calm journey. The deepest point of the planet remains behind. The darkness gradually becomes a little less dense, and new mysteries of the ocean begin to appear ahead. Strange phenomena, underwater waterfalls, unusual currents, and natural phenomena that seem almost impossible. This is where we will head next. Amazing phenomena that the ocean hides. We are slowly moving away from the deepest trenches of the Earth and heading through the vast expanses of the ocean. It's still dark around, but now it seems as if the ocean itself is beginning to tell its own stories. Stories about phenomena that are so unusual that they sometimes sound like legends. If a person saw some of them with his own eyes for the first time, he might think that he was in another world. The ocean knows how to surprise, and it has been doing this for billions of years. One of the most unusual phenomena are underwater waterfalls. At first glance, this seems impossible. How can a waterfall exist underwater? However, nature has found a way to create even such a miracle. In some areas of the ocean, water varies so much in temperature and salinity that it begins to behave almost like a separate liquid. Denser masses of water literally flow down the underwater slopes. From the outside, it really looks like a real waterfall. The most famous of them is located off the coast of Greenland. Its size is so huge that many famous landfalls fade next to it. If a person could observe this phenomenon in its entirety, the spectacle would seem truly grandiose. But the ocean rarely reveals its secrets completely. Most of these miracles are hidden from human eyes. We continue on our way. Giant currents move slowly in the water column. From the surface, they are invisible, but they play a huge role in the life of the entire planet. Ocean currents can be compared to the Earth's circulatory system. They transfer heat between continents, affect the climate, participate in the distribution of nutrients. Some currents travel across entire oceans. Their journey can take hundreds of years. The drop of water that is now next to us may have begun its journey long before the birth of many generations of people. Some deep waters have been isolated from the surface for so long that they are unique travelers from the past. They carry information about the climate of the ancient Earth. By studying them, scientists can learn about events that happened thousands of years ago. We slowly sail on, and suddenly we notice a strange flickering. At first it seems that these are separate flashes of light, but then it becomes clear that an entire section of water is glowing. Before us is one of the most beautiful phenomena of the ocean, mass bioluminescence. Millions of tiny organisms begin to glow at the same time. Each wave leaves behind a bluish trail. Every movement creates radiance. Sometimes at night, the ocean begins to resemble a starry sky, only the stars are not above your head, but around. Sailors have been observing similar phenomena for many centuries. Some ancient stories about the magical sea probably arose from such nights. When people did not yet understand the nature of what was happening, the glowing ocean seemed like a real miracle. Even today, this spectacle makes a strong impression. Now imagine another phenomenon. A huge wave suddenly appears in the middle of the ocean. Its height is much higher than the surrounding waves. It appears as if out of nowhere, and disappears just as unexpectedly. Such waves are called rogue waves. For a long time, stories about them were considered sea tales. But later, scientists confirmed their existence. Sometimes, several waves combine in such a way that they form a giant water shaft. For ships of past centuries, such encounters could have been extremely dangerous. Today, such phenomena continue to be studied. The ocean has not yet revealed all the mechanisms of their occurrence. We continue our journey. Strange, noctilucent clouds begin to appear in the distance, but they are not in the sky. And deep underwater, these are huge concentrations of small fish, so dense that they can sometimes be detected even with the help of satellites. Millions of creatures move as one organism. They change direction at the same time. At the same time they accelerate. They freeze at the same time. You can watch such shoals endlessly. It seems as if the ocean creates its own living patterns. Sometimes, such clusters stretch for many kilometers. They become real underwater megacities. Predators invariably appear nearby, but even they are not always able to disrupt the perfectly coordinated movement of the flock. The ocean loves scale. There can be much more here than we are used to imagining. This also applies to sounds. The loudest natural sounds on the planet are often born underwater. Some whales are capable of creating signals that travel great distances. Under certain conditions, they can be heard thousands of kilometers away. It turns out to be a kind of ocean connection, slow, calm, but incredibly distant. Somewhere far away, a whale makes a sound, and after a while, someone else will hear him. And this has been going on for millions of years, long before man appeared, long before the first cities appeared, long before writing. Perhaps the ocean is the most ancient world of sound on our planet. We keep moving. Every moment it becomes more and more obvious how complex this system is. Each current is connected to another current. Every creature depends on many other organisms. Every drop of water participates in a huge cycle. The ocean never stands still, even when it seems calm, even when the surface appears motionless. Deep inside, processes are constantly happening that affect the whole world. Sometimes, underwater earthquakes create giant waves that can cross entire oceans. Sometimes volcanic eruptions create new islands. Sometimes, unusual climatic phenomena change the temperature of huge water masses. All these events become part of the single history of the Earth, a story that continues right now. We slowly sail on. The darkness around again becomes soft and calm. The water seems endless. Silence returns, and another amazing chapter awaits us. We will meet the giants of the ocean, with creatures whose sizes amaze the imagination, with the ancient inhabitants of the seas, and with animals whose stories began long before the appearance of the first people. In the meantime, you can just enjoy this calm journey through one of the most mysterious worlds of our planet. Ocean giants and ancient inhabitants of the deep sea. We continue our leisurely journey. There is still calm all around. The thickness of the water gently surrounds us on all sides, and somewhere far away in the darkness, life moves, existing here for millions of years. The ocean can surprise not only with its depths and mysteries, it surprises with its size, and above all, the size of its inhabitants. There has never been an animal larger than the blue whale on our planet. Even the largest dinosaurs were inferior to him in mass. Imagine a creature the length of a passenger plane. The heart of such an animal can weigh as much as a small car, and the tongue can weigh more than an adult elephant. Yet the blue whale feeds mainly on tiny crustaceans. It seems incredible that the largest animal in Earth's history lives thanks to creatures the size of a human fingernail. Every day, the whale slowly moves through the ocean, filtering huge volumes of water. His life passes in the world of sounds. Underwater vision is limited by distance and darkness. Therefore, sounds become the main way of communication and orientation. Scientists still continue to study whale songs. Some of them are so complex that they resemble real musical compositions. Certain elements are repeated, they change, they come back again. It's like the ocean makes its own music. Sometimes whales can hear each other at distances that are hard to imagine. For a person, such a connection seems almost fantastic. But this is a common occurrence in the ocean. We keep moving. Somewhere in the darkness, a long shadow appears. She slowly glides through the water. Before us is one of the most mysterious creatures of the ocean, giant squid. For centuries, stories of giant squids have been considered sea legends. Sailors talked about monsters with huge tentacles, about creatures capable of attacking ships, about giants hiding in the depths. Of course, many of the stories were exaggerated, but the squids themselves really exist. Some of them reach impressive sizes, and they spend most of their lives in places where researchers almost never penetrate. It is extremely difficult to study them. Meeting a giant squid in its natural habitat is a rarity even for modern scientists. Therefore, each new video material becomes a real event. The ocean is in no hurry to reveal its secrets, especially when it comes to such creatures. But squids are far from the only giants. In the depths, there are jellyfish with tentacles tens of meters long. If you pulled them all the way out, some would be longer than a blue whale. Such sizes help to effectively catch prey in the vast expanse of the ocean. At the same time, the jellyfish itself can move surprisingly smoothly and calmly. It's like floating in weightlessness. You can watch her movement endlessly. She resembles a living cloud, slowly floating through the eternal night. We continue on our way. The silhouette of a shark appears in the distance, but she is not at all like the sharks that are usually shown in films. Her movements are leisurely, calm, measured. Some deep-sea sharks live unusually long lives. Scientists have discovered species, the age of individual representatives of which can exceed several hundred years. When such animals were born, many modern states did not yet exist. Completely different eras passed. Generations of people have changed. Wars and discoveries took place. And somewhere deep underwater, the same shark continued to live. This is a reminder of how differently time flows for different creatures. In the depths of the ocean, life often slows down. Cold water, lack of food, no sudden changes in the environment. All this contributes to the unhurried rhythm of existence. Some ocean creatures take decades to grow. Others can live significantly longer than most land animals. Time seems to slow down here. The ocean generally knows how to preserve antiquity. Some species that exist today have changed little over millions of years. They survived the extinction of the dinosaurs, ice ages, climate change, the appearance of man, and they continue to exist to this day. They are sometimes called living fossils. They remind us of the distant past of the Earth, about a time when the world looked completely different. Traveling across the ocean, you can literally encounter history, a history of hundreds of millions of years. We are moving on. Deep-sea stingrays appear in front of us. They seem to float above the bottom. Their movements are so smooth that they resemble the flight of birds. In water, there is no gravity that we are used to. Therefore, many sea creatures look especially graceful. Each movement flows smoothly into the next. There's no rush, no fuss, just a calm glide across the endless ocean. Sometimes this is why watching the underwater world is so relaxing. It reminds us of a slower pace of life, about a world that exists without haste and constant noise. We continue on our way. Somewhere in the distance, a huge school of tuna swims. They are followed by predators. But even hunting in the ocean often looks different than on land. Everything happens more smoothly here, slower. Calm down. The huge space allows the animals to move freely. Sometimes they can travel across entire oceans. Some species travel thousands of kilometers each year. For them, it is a normal part of life. For a person, such a journey would be a grand expedition. Ocean giants remind us of another important thing. We are accustomed to consider ourselves masters of the planet. But there is another world next to us, a world of incredible size, a world of creatures that appeared long before us, a world that still remains largely unknown. And the more we travel through its depths, the more we realize how huge it is. Perhaps right now there are animals moving somewhere far under the water that no one has ever seen before. Perhaps there are species that science is not even aware of yet. Or maybe the most amazing giants are still hiding in the endless dark spaces of the ocean. We continue to glide smoothly forward. The water becomes surprisingly calm. Darkness gently surrounds us, and another chapter awaits us. We will talk about how the ocean affects the life of the entire planet, about why without him, the world as we know it would not exist, and about what important processes occur in the depths every second, even when no one sees them. The ancient history of the ocean spans billions of years. Before humanity built the first cities, before there were forests, before dinosaurs began to walk the earth, the ocean already existed. This is one of the most amazing thoughts that you can come to while traveling through the depths. Now, we are accustomed to seeing the world as we have known it since childhood: continents, mountains, rivers, seas. But once upon a time, everything looked completely different. Let's go for a while not into the depths of space, but into the depths of time. Millions of years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago, billions of years ago. Scientists believe that the first oceans appeared shortly after the formation of our planet. Then the Earth was completely different from the modern world. Volcanoes raged on its surface. Hot gases were constantly escaping from the depths. Huge asteroids were falling. Temperatures were much higher than usual. But gradually the planet began to cool. The water vapor condensed. The first reservoirs appeared. Millions of years passed. The oceans grew, expanded, and at some point they became home to the first living organisms. It's hard to imagine how long ago this happened. If the entire history of the Earth were represented in the form of one day, man would appear only a few seconds before midnight, and the ocean existed almost all that day. It was in water that the first cells appeared, the first simple organisms, the first forms of life. We can say that all living beings on the planet are very distant descendants of the ancient inhabitants of the ocean, even ourselves. Every cell in our body contains traces of this distant past. The composition of human blood is remarkably similar to the chemical composition of ancient seas. It's like a little hello from those times when life was just beginning its journey. We continue our journey through time. Millions of years pass like moments. Continents are moving. They collide. They disperse. New oceans are appearing. The old ones disappear. There were supercontinents on Earth that united almost all the land into a single whole. Then they split, and the ocean gradually filled the space between them. It was thanks to these processes that the modern map of the world was formed. But even today the movement continues. Very slow, almost unnoticed. Every year the continents shift by several centimeters, about the same speed as human nails grow. However, over millions of years, such changes completely change the appearance of the planet. The ocean remains a witness to what is happening all this time. He saw the first fish appear, the appearance of the first vertebrates, the appearance of the first animals to land. I saw the rise of dinosaurs, I saw them disappear, saw the birth of modern ecosystems. Many of the creatures that live in the ocean today are descendants of ancient lineages dating back hundreds of millions of years. Some species of sharks predate dinosaurs, and they continue to exist to this day. Just imagine, these animals have survived several global extinctions. We have lived through a change of eras, experienced entire worlds, and they are still swimming in the ocean. Such facts help to feel the real scale of time. We often think in terms of decades, sometimes about centuries, but the ocean thinks in millions of years. In the depths, this is felt especially strongly. Some areas of the seabed remained virtually unchanged for an incredibly long time. Sediment slowly accumulated layer by layer. Each layer stored information about its era. Gradually, a kind of archive of the history of the Earth was formed. When scientists study deep-sea sediments, it is like leafing through an ancient book. Its pages record climate change, volcanic eruptions, asteroid falls, ice ages, sea level changes, even traces of ancient disasters. And all this is stored in the ocean, without words. No inscriptions, no libraries, just in layers of silt on the seabed. We continue to move forward, and we gradually begin to understand that the ocean is not only space, it's also time. A giant repository of the history of our planet. Each wave is connected to the past. Each current carries the memory of ancient eras. Each depth has its own stories. And while we slowly drift among these invisible stories, it becomes clear. The ocean is much older than everything that seems familiar and constant to us, and another amazing chapter awaits us ahead. We will get to know the strangest creatures of the ocean, so unusual that their appearance seems impossible even for science fiction films. The invisible work of the ocean that supports life on Earth. We are increasingly immersed in understanding how important the ocean is to life on our planet. Now there is nothing around us but calm darkness, but it is here, far from human eyes, that processes take place on which the entire world above depends. When we look at the ocean from the shore, it seems like just a huge expanse of water, beautiful, calm, sometimes stormy. But rarely does anyone realize that the ocean performs many vital tasks. It is like a huge mechanism that has been working continuously for billions of years, and he does it so quietly and unnoticed that most people never notice his work. Let's start with the air we breathe. Many people believe that oxygen on Earth is mainly created by forests. This is really very important, but a significant part of the oxygen on our planet does not appear on land. It is produced by tiny organisms living in the ocean. Some of them are so small that they can only be seen under a microscope. Nevertheless, they are the ones who are involved in the creation of huge amounts of oxygen. Every human breath is connected to the ocean much more strongly than it might seem at first glance. Even being far from the coast, we continue to benefit from the work of marine ecosystems. The ocean seems to quietly take care of the entire planet, but oxygen is only part of its role. The ocean also helps regulate the Earth's climate. It has an amazing ability to accumulate heat. During the day, the water warms up slowly, and then gradually releases the accumulated energy. Thanks to this, the climate of many regions is becoming softer and more stable. If oceans did not exist, temperature changes on the planet would be much greater. Summer would get hotter, winter is colder. The weather would be much less predictable. But the ocean smooths out these differences. It acts as a giant natural stabilizer. We keep moving. Everything around us is just as calm. And somewhere in the water column, invisible currents continue to work. They resemble a huge conveyor belt, covering the entire world's oceans. Scientists sometimes call this system the global ocean circulation. Some water particles travel thousands or even tens of thousands of kilometers. Such a cycle can take many centuries. Water moves heat, nutrients, dissolved gases, and helps maintain the balance of the entire planetary system. It turns out to be an amazing picture. Every drop of the ocean is connected to countless other drops. Everything works as one, like a huge, living organism. Sometimes it seems as if the ocean really has a logic of its own, with its own rhythm, with your own breath. We continue on our way. Somewhere above us there are kilometers of water, but even here, particles of organic matter gradually descend. We have already encountered a phenomenon called sea snow. For deep ecosystems, it plays a special role. We can say that this is a kind of rain of food. Without it, many inhabitants of the ocean floor would not be able to exist. Every day, billions of tiny particles begin their slow journey from top to bottom. This process continues continuously, year after year, century after century, million after million years. Thanks to him, the depths remain populated. Life receives the necessary resources even where the sun's rays never penetrate. But the ocean does something else amazing. It helps remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Some of this gas dissolves in water. Some of it is absorbed by marine organisms. Some eventually end up in the deep layers of the ocean. This process affects the climate of the entire planet. We can say that the ocean acts as a huge natural carbon reservoir. Without this ability, the Earth's atmosphere would look very different, and living conditions could be much less comfortable. We continue to slide slowly through the darkness, and we begin to notice another amazing feature. The ocean has an incredible memory. Of course, not in the usual human understanding, but water is capable of storing information about the past. Traces of ancient climate changes remain in its composition. By studying deep-sea sediments, scientists obtain information about events that occurred thousands and even millions of years ago. Each layer of sediment becomes a kind of page from a huge book, Earth history books. This book is kept at the bottom of the ocean, and many of its chapters have not yet been read. Researchers continue to discover new information about the past of our planet, about ancient temperatures, about ice ages, about extinct animals, about events that happened long before the appearance of man. Sometimes the ocean tells stories that no one even knew existed. This is why studying the depths is so important for science. It helps to understand not only the present, but also the past, and sometimes even the future. We continue on our way. The silence around becomes almost absolute. It seems as if the ocean itself is slowly breathing. Its rhythm is impossible to hear, but you can feel it. Every current, every water cycle, every process in the depths is connected with life on the surface, even if people never notice it. Perhaps this is one of the most amazing features of the ocean. He is constantly working, maintains balance, creates conditions for the existence of millions of species, and it has been doing this non-stop for billions of years. No breaks, no rest. Only endless, calm movement. The constant work of the invisible mechanism of the planet. We slowly continue our journey. New secrets await us ahead. We'll talk about creatures that glow in the dark, about underwater hunters, about the most unusual ways of surviving in a world where there is almost no light. And the deeper we dive into this story, the more amazing the ocean will become. Although it seems that there is nothing more to be surprised about. Light in the darkness and amazing ways to survive. We are returning again to those areas of the ocean where sunlight has long ceased to exist. There are no sunrises here, no sunsets. There is no sky that we are used to, just endless darkness stretching out in all directions. And yet this world cannot be called gloomy, because its inhabitants have learned to create their own light. Imagine that you find yourself in the middle of a forest at night. It's completely dark all around. But suddenly thousands of little lights begin to light up. First one, then another, then hundreds and thousands. This is what the deep ocean looks like to many of its inhabitants. Bioluminescence is one of the most amazing abilities existing in nature. Some organisms can create light through special chemical reactions within their bodies. This light does not heat the surrounding water. It uses almost no energy, and at the same time it can be bright enough to attract attention from a great distance. For deep-sea creatures, light becomes the language of communication, a means of protection, a hunting tool, and sometimes even a method of disguise. Some fish have entire rows of luminous dots on their bodies. When viewed from afar, they resemble garlands slowly floating in the dark. Scientists suggest that by the location of these lights, animals can recognize representatives of their own species. It's as if each creature has its own light pattern. In the depths of the ocean, this can be as important as your voice or appearance. We keep moving. A small flash of blue light appears ahead, then another one. And one more thing. They appear literally for a second and immediately disappear. Some organisms use just this tactic. A short bright flash can blind a predator or distract its attention. During this time, the small creature manages to hide in the darkness. Other ocean inhabitants act differently. They create entire glowing clouds. When danger arises, the animal releases special substances into the water that begin to glow. The predator loses sight of the target, and the owner of the luminous cloud calmly disappears into the darkness. Such strategies are reminiscent of magicians' techniques, but there is no magic here, only millions of years of evolution. We slowly sail on. Suddenly, a strange light appears ahead. At first, it seems that this is another luminous creature, but the light source remains motionless. Before us is an anglerfish, the same famous inhabitant of the depths. A luminous appendage sways above her head. It resembles a small lantern. In complete darkness, the prey notices this light and swims closer. This is exactly what the predator is waiting for. A hunt like this requires patience. But in a world where food is scarce, patience becomes the most important quality. Many inhabitants of the depths know how to wait, sometimes for a very long time. Some can remain motionless in one place for hours, and sometimes longer. They save energy. They do not make unnecessary movements. Don't waste energy unnecessarily. In deep ocean conditions, this is one of the main secrets of survival. Here, you cannot afford the luxury of useless activity. Every movement must have meaning. Every calorie burned matters. This is why many deep-sea animals look surprisingly calm. They seem to live according to special laws of time. We continue our journey. Another unusual creature appears in the darkness. His body is almost transparent, and tiny lights slowly pulsate inside. Some organisms are able to illuminate their own organs. Others create glowing stripes along the body. There are even those that can change the brightness of their glow. Sometimes they become almost invisible, and sometimes they flash so brightly that they are visible from afar. It's amazing how many different ways light can be used. But the ocean has always loved variety. There is rarely just one solution here. For each task, nature has come up with dozens of options. Some animals are hiding, others hunt. Still others scare away enemies. The fourth attract partners. And everyone uses the same tool: light. This is perhaps one of the most beautiful examples of how one phenomenon can serve completely different purposes. We continue on our way. A small school of fish swims in the distance. At first glance, they are no different from others, but if you look closely, it becomes noticeable that the lower part of their body glows slightly. Why? To hide. This sounds paradoxical, but in the ocean there is a special way of camouflage. A faint glow on the abdomen helps the animal blend in with the rare light that penetrates from above. For a predator looking up from below, such a fish becomes almost invisible. It turns out to be a kind of optical illusion. The ocean is full of such tricks. Sometimes the most effective methods of protection are the most unexpected. We keep moving, and we begin to understand that life in the depths requires constant ingenuity. There is little food here, little light, huge pressure, almost eternal darkness. But instead of disappearing, life adapted. She learned to take advantage of every opportunity, every advantage, every feature of the environment. That is why the deep ocean has become a real treasure trove of amazing solutions. Some of them seem incredible even to modern scientists. Researchers are still finding new ways to hunt, camouflage, and communicate. Each expedition brings new discoveries, and this once again reminds us of how little we know about the world underwater. We continue our calm path through the darkness. The glowing creatures are gradually left behind. The water around becomes especially quiet, and a new chapter awaits us. We'll talk about the most mysterious discoveries that ocean explorers have ever made, about discoveries that surprised even experienced scientists, about creatures, phenomena, and objects, the existence of which until recently seemed impossible. In the meantime, you can just enjoy this amazing underwater sky, where instead of stars, living creatures glow that have inhabited the depths for millions of years. Riddles, discoveries, and secrets that still surprise scientists. We have already seen luminous creatures, seamounts, bottomless pits, and ocean giants. But perhaps the most surprising thing about the depths isn't what we already know, but how much remains unknown. The ocean knows how to keep secrets. For a very long time, sometimes for thousands of years, sometimes for millions of years. That is why almost every serious expedition brings discoveries, even today. In the era of satellites, artificial intelligence, and sophisticated scientific instruments, we continue to slide slowly through the darkness, and we imagine a research vessel somewhere far on the surface. His team lowers a robotic device into the depths, slowly, meter by meter, kilometer after kilometer, and no one knows exactly what will be in the spotlight in a few hours. This is the special magic of ocean exploration. Each dive can be a person's first look at an unknown corner of the planet. Many beings have been discovered in this way. Scientists looked at camera footage and noticed animals that no one had ever seen before. Some discoveries happened completely by accident. The researchers were looking for one thing, but they found something completely different. Sometimes a new creature came into view for just a few seconds. These seconds were enough to begin many years of research. Moments like these remind us that Earth can still surprise. Despite all the achievements of science, we continue on our way. There is endless darkness around us again. It was here that entire communities of living organisms were once discovered near hydrothermal vents. For scientists, this became a real sensation. For a long time, it was believed that complex ecosystems could not exist without sunlight. But the depths proved otherwise. This discovery forced us to take a fresh look at the boundaries of the possible. If life could arise and exist under similar conditions on Earth, then why can't it exist somewhere else in the universe? Since then, the ocean has become not only an object of marine research, it turned into a kind of laboratory for studying the possibilities of life in general. Each new discovery in the depths helps to better understand other worlds. We keep moving. Strange rock formations appear at the bottom. At first, it seems that they were created by nature, but sometimes researchers actually find traces of the past. The ocean has the ability to preserve history. Thousands of sunken ships lie at its bottom. Some of them have lain underwater for hundreds of years. They became a kind of time capsules. Thanks to them, scientists learn details about the lives of people of long-gone eras. Sometimes finds turn out to be so well preserved that they literally allow you to look into the past. The sea not only destroys, sometimes it is carefully preserved, and this is one of its most amazing features. But ships are far from the only witnesses to history. In the depths, ancient riverbeds were discovered that existed at a time when sea levels were much lower. Traces of old coastlines have been found, flooded land areas, traces of long-vanished landscapes. It turns out that the ocean keeps the memory of worlds that no longer exist. About the times when the map of the Earth looked different. We continue on our way, and suddenly an interesting thought arises. How many creatures remain unknown? How many species are still waiting to be discovered? Scientists regularly try to answer this question, but no one knows the exact figure. Every year, new fish are discovered, new shellfish, new crustaceans, new microorganisms, and every year it becomes clear that there are still a lot of unknowns. Some researchers believe that much of deep-sea life has not yet been even described by science. Perhaps right now, somewhere in the dark, there is an organism that has never come to human sight. We keep moving. The water around is calm. It is at such moments that the scale of the ocean is especially acutely felt. Its size is so large that even modern technology has only explored a small part of the seabed in detail. In many areas, the surface of the moon is better studied than the bottom of the Earth's oceans. This fact sounds almost incredible, but it shows well how huge our own world is. Sometimes people imagine the unknown somewhere very far away, on other planets, in distant galaxies. But part of the unknown is right here, on our own planet, under the water column, in depths where people rarely look. We continue our journey, and we think about how many more discoveries await humanity ahead. New species of animals, unknown ecosystems, unusual natural processes, perhaps new scientific discoveries that will help better understand life on Earth. The ocean is in no hurry to reveal its secrets. He does it gradually, step by step, expedition after expedition, generation after generation. That is why interest in the depths does not disappear. Each new discovery is a reminder that the world is still much larger than what we know about it. We continue to move forward calmly. The darkness around seems almost cozy. It doesn't look empty anymore. On the contrary, now it is filled with possibilities. Somewhere ahead lie the answers to questions that haven't even been asked yet. Or maybe there are mysteries there, the existence of which humanity does not yet suspect. And as we slowly glide across the vast ocean, one thing becomes clear. The biggest mystery of the deep ocean isn't what we found, and how much remains to be found. The final part of our journey awaits us ahead. We will summarize, look at the ocean as a single living world, and once again remember the most amazing features of this endless kingdom of the depths. For now, you can just enjoy the silence. The same silence that has reigned for millions of years in the most remote corners of the world's oceans. Last dive. An ocean we are only beginning to understand. We spent a lot of time together among the vast expanses of the deep ocean. We visited places where sunlight never penetrates. We saw creatures that had learned to create their own radiance. We looked into the deepest depressions on Earth. We sailed over ancient volcanoes, seamounts, and canyons. We got acquainted with the giants of the ocean and tiny organisms on which the life of the entire planet depends. Now it's time to slow down a little and just look at the entire ocean. Not as a collection of individual facts, not like a map of the depths or a list of amazing animals. How about a single world? Huge, ancient, calm. Imagine the Earth from space, slowly rotating blue ball. From a distance, the borders of states are almost invisible. No roads visible, no cities visible, but you can clearly see the ocean. It is he who determines the appearance of our planet. It is thanks to him that the Earth is sometimes called the Blue World. The ocean existed long before man appeared. He saw the birth of the first living organisms. I saw the era of dinosaurs, saw the appearance of the first mammals, saw ice ages. I have seen thousands of generations of people. For the ocean, human history occupies only a small moment. And yet, right now, for the first time, we are beginning to truly explore its depths. This is an amazing thought. Humanity has created telescopes capable of seeing distant galaxies, sent devices to other planets, learned to explore space, but its own ocean still holds countless mysteries. Perhaps this is why it attracts researchers so much. Every new discovery reminds us of how big the world is around us. We are used to thinking that we live in a well-studied time, but the ocean constantly shows the opposite. He seems to be saying, "You already know a lot, but that's not all." And there is a special beauty in this, because secrets make the world more interesting. Every unknown depth leaves room for surprise, for curiosity, for new discoveries. We continue to drift slowly in the darkness. The water around seems endless. Somewhere far away, bioluminescent organisms glow. Ancient currents are moving somewhere. Somewhere a whale swims slowly. Somewhere at the bottom lies a ship that sank hundreds of years ago. And somewhere, for the first time, a research apparatus illuminates a section of the ocean that no one has ever seen before. Life goes on. Research continues. The ocean continues to keep its secrets, and it will probably continue to do so for a very long time. Many creatures of the deep will never see sunlight. Many areas of the ocean floor have not yet been mapped in detail. Many discoveries await future generations of scientists, and all this is happening right now, on our own planet, not somewhere far away among the stars, and here, below the surface of the water. Sometimes it's useful to remember this, because the ocean helps you look at the world a little differently. It reminds us that the unknown exists nearby, that even a familiar planet can remain surprising, that curiosity never loses its value, and that the most interesting journeys do not always require leaving the Earth. We are gradually starting to climb up, very slow, as calm as this whole journey, through the water, past invisible currents, past creatures continuing their measured lives in the dark. Somewhere far ahead, a faint light begins to appear, at first barely noticeable, then a little brighter. We are returning to the surface, but now the ocean already seems different, because we know much more about him. We know about luminous creatures, about underwater volcanoes, about deep-sea depressions, about ancient trends, about the invisible work of the ocean that helps the entire planet exist. We know how amazing life can be, and how inventive nature can be. The light is getting brighter. The water gradually changes color. The familiar blue colors appear. Finally, the surface appears ahead. Calm, serene, almost motionless. The same surface from which our journey began. The starry sky stretches over the ocean. The constellations twinkle quietly. A light wind touches the water. The waves roll slowly in the darkness, and it seems as if the ocean is also resting, although in fact, somewhere in its depths, endless life continues. The currents continue to move. Unusual creatures continue to glow. New landscapes continue to form. The processes that support life throughout the Earth continue. But now we don't need to rush anywhere. You can just imagine this huge, calm world. A world that has existed for billions of years. A world full of mysteries. A world that remains one of the most amazing places in the universe. Let the sound of distant waves gradually become quieter. Let your thoughts flow calmly and freely. Let everything unnecessary remain somewhere far away. And before the inner gaze, the image of the endless ocean remains for a long time. Dark, quiet, calm, and amazingly beautiful. Thank you for going on this journey, and may today's sleep be as deep, calm, and endless as the ocean we just traveled together.